Good morning, welcome. Good morning from sunny Ireland. Yeah, it's sunny today. It's not normal weather. Right, a few things I'm going to talk about this morning. Rediscovering our ancient past. Okay. Now we're not talking about Ireland. We're talking about the world. Okay. Right. I think the accepted view of ancient history is rather different to perhaps what it actually was, because recently there's been a lot of new evidence that's come to light which suggests that the modern civilization is much older than previously thought. Okay, now let's talk about accepted wisdom. Accepted wisdom. We know there was the planet came out of an ice age about 10,000 years ago. This is just, you find this in textbooks. It's accepted by geologists, biologists, or anybody, you know. Right. So, what people have tried to answer is, how did this happen? Why did it happen? Well, not why, but how did it happen? Well, we kind of know the answer now. And it's again around about the same period of time. There was a meteor collision with a planet, or more accurately, a stream of meteors that either hit the surface or blew up in the air. And this kind of centered around North America, Greenland, but traces of these impacts can be traced all the way to Syria in the Middle East. So we're talking about, you know, a vast area. And now more recently, got a visit from a Jack Dell there, yeah. More recently, South America. So we know this happened, yeah. And there's increasingly a lot of evidence to show that a meteor impact devastated the planet at this point in time. Right. So that would explain a lot of things, like the megafauna of North America becoming very quickly extinct. Previously thought it was hunters, but you know, humans don't do that. They don't wipe out the whole population of the whole population of a whole ecosystem of animals. You know, there's no other history of us doing that. You know. Hunting. So it didn't make sense, and of course, it didn't make sense even when it was first theorised. Anyway, so what other things have happened? Well, all you need to do, look at our mythical and religious stories from around the world. There's certain things that always come up. Indications from the sky. Maybe this is where the idea of God came from, the sky, which is exactly what you would expect when there's lots of stuff happening in the atmosphere, meteors, you know, fire, weather changes, all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, and it's all up in the air. So you know, this is where our gods came from, perhaps. What else? Right, floods. You know, the Bible is the obvious one, but there's, you know, cultures and societies around the world. They've all got stories of myths, and there's all got stories of floods and catastrophes, and more than that, you know, there's that. Now, let's move on. So there's the mythical religious connection there. There's the ecological connection. Sorry. There's also a bunch of other stuff like architecture. You know, there's a lot of buildings that, you know, famous buildings around the world, pyramids, loads of stuff in Peru, Lebanon, all over the world, Indonesia, where the buildings are thought to be much older than what we have been told or led to believe. And there's lots of evidence for this. Don't need to go into it too much, you can find loads of information on it. But, you know, there seems to be a suggestion that when this catastrophe happened, it devastated human populations. But some survived, and they had already got to quite a level of sophistication that they were able to construct and build and have knowledge about stars and astronomy, much more than we had been led to believe. And they left these indicators, these signs all over the world. So again, you can see them in the pyramids and the Sphinx, which is much older than it's been in which, you know, people have been led to believe. Lots of other things, and there's lots of myths and stuff like Atlantis. It's a classic one. Atlantis? No, you can't. That's a myth. But think about it. What's so mythical about it? Think about the logical consequences of meteors hitting the planet. Right. Even today, a lot of our populations live around the coast, and this is in an age of internet connections, road transport and plane transport. So living by the water isn't as important as it used to be, because that, sea and river and lake, they were faster means of transport in times previous than they are now, more efficient, So there would have always been populations of people around coasts, and then when a bunch of meteors hit the ice melts, causes floods all over the world, causes climate change, and many of these coastal communities, probably a lot of big cities as well, were devastated and wiped out, because they lived near the sea, because that's where people could trade. That's where the trade networks were. Even in recent historical times, even 500 years ago, people went by sea to get from place to place. You're thinking about only 200. The first railways were only 19th century. That's not long ago. Before that, maximum speed was a horse. Okay, unless you went by boat, and it was a bit faster perhaps over long distances. So the idea of a big city being devastated by the results of a meteor impact it's not fanciful, not at all. Tsunamis, must have wiped out loads of stuff. We've just seen it, beginning of 10 years ago, 15 years ago in Indonesia, the devastation of a tsunami, and in Japan more recently. So it's it's not out of the question that, and I think they may have been quite small compared to what may have happened. So we know, we know meteors hit the planet every day. Little bits come in, but most of them get burnt up in the atmosphere. But we know the dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago. The crater is in Mexico. We know now that it also happened 12,000 years ago. And there is an impact. Recently, an impact crater was found under the ice in Greenland. But a lot of these impacts would have been on ice, so they wouldn't have had the longevity of a crater. You have to look for other clues. And there's lots of other clues to that. I won't go into it here, but you can find it out yourselves. So there we go. Just something I wanted to. Yeah, there we go. So we're not as we've been around a lot longer than perhaps we have been led to believe. Now I'm not talking about. This doesn't have any bearing on human evolution at all. Our evolution as a fact that how life developed on this planet. The only thing it does do is question how long Homo sapiens have been able to live as a civilized, the old meaning of the word, have been able to live in civilization, with buildings, with technology. So it wasn't just the theory is now there was an upward progress of development of civilization. It may have, I don't think it would have come to anything like what we've got now, but much more than what we've been led to believe. It's not this incremental straight line of undeveloped to civilized. At one point with the restart, and that was caused about 12,000 years ago. And there's a few signs and indicators. But again, as we learn more and more of these indicators, signs come up. They've always been with us. They've been staring us in the face for a long time. But we've wrapped them up in religion or myths that uncivilized people had because they couldn't explain anything. But people are people, and when they see something happening, they'll interpret it in their own way. And when the sky collapses and there's fire in the sky, then that could be a sign of a god being angry. But where does but it's more likely to be the sign of something happening in the sky, you know. And we're not talking about an alien invasion or anything like that. We're talking about meteors, explosions, storms, disasters, tsunamis, everything, you know. Volcanoes, earthquakes, all that would have been caused potentially by massive impacts. Okay, I need to go. Goodbye.